try to do what I'm called to do. That's about it, man. Like nothing more, nothing less.
Say, do the kingdom work.
Absolutely.
Now, growing
Absolutely.
up Pentecostal, apostolic, and you from the hard shell apostolic church, when you got introduced to the word kingdom, I know that was a bit of appeal to swallow from your upbringing, hard shell, apostolic, Pentecostal. So take us to that place where you became more kingdom minded.
I didn't really become kingdom minded hearing the word, you know. It was more of a process for me going through that situation. It was just a series of things, one thing after another, that kind of led up to me kind of embracing the kingdom of God and what all it had to offer, what it was about, that whole situation. So when you look at a lot of churches now, or a lot of people are saying kingdom,
right?
They're actually explaining more of a church way. Okay. And which is nothing wrong with the church way, because we all start there.
Right. That's our reference point.
There you
gotta
go.
have somewhere to start.
Right. So a lot of people, when they grow from that, when they leave the foundation of the doctrine and they go on to perfection, one of those things is understanding the way you see the kingdom. And it's where we tend to run to God to do most of the things. God turns you back towards yourself and say, okay, now I need you to know you first.
Yeah, your responsibility.
Absolutely. So, yeah.
Kingdom is legal. It's a legal thing, and we have to understand the legalities of a kingdom and how God sends and sets ambassadors in a specific territory geographically to handle the kingdom affairs.
Absolutely.
And now that we are called ambassadors of Christ, it takes on a brand new connotation.
Right.
Your new citizenship no longer is Gallatin, born and bred, Sumner County.
No, sir.
Yeah, that's not where he is now.
It'll always be my home. Tennessee will always be my home.
Okay.
And so when you asked me to come, I was like, you know what I'm saying, I'm always going to go back home for the home team. So so that was a no-brainer. Right. But yeah, I reside in Bowling Green, Kentucky now. So
loving it. How many years you been there?
I've been in Bowling Green for 4 years now.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you. Tough questions. Pentecostal, apostolic. How did you came to love it because you were brought in it?
Absolutely.
The new walk in non-denominationalism. How did you get there?
Well, you hear people say all the time, like, God hates religion. But then that's the first thing that they hold up when they go to do the work. And then not only that, they use the confines of religion to dictate what I do or what I don't do, for who I do it for and who I won't do it for. So I just wanted to get out of the way of the country clubs and the where you have to have a certain criteria to take more of a kingdom form of thinking, to say wherever you are, whatever you're doing, God has put something inside of you.
Right. He definitely has.
Absolutely. So there's greatness inside of you, and that has to come out. And so my work has been really just helping people to understand how God sees them.
Okay.
Because the fight is actually becoming that God said something about you, and so you go through life and people are trying to distract you from God, what God said. So a lot of times when we do get into our purpose finally, you know what I'm saying, we look at all the stuff that we've been through and what people say we couldn't do and what people say we could do and what people say we should be doing. I'm a singer. So a lot of people
naturally.
Like, yeah, right. So people was like, yo, where's your CD? Like, where's your Grammys and where's your, you know what I'm saying? And although on the studio side, like, I was doing all of that, writing for people and, you know, vocal producing for people, R&B and gospel. Like, I was doing my singing thing. One day, God told me, he was like, I have need of you. And it changed my whole... I was like, need me for what?
Right.
I'm sitting here drunk on my couch. What can you even do with me? I'm losing my family on this end, and I'm losing my house on this end. What can you do with me?
In my brokenness.
In my brokenness.
And vulnerability.
And so, it was a process of understanding that before you was formed into your mother's womb, he said, I knew you. I had plans for you.
Right.
And so a lot of times we get wrapped up in other people's plans, maybe the plans that we saw from another person. And that's why I never really covered anybody. I always celebrate people because I'd be like, you're embracing you and you're doing good. I should be embracing me and do me, you know? So, because God has done something in us all. And so I think that it's important that when it comes to fulfilling the call of God on your life, regardless of what that is, that you embrace that. But it first comes through understanding what God said about you. And so the enemy tries to come and he tries to steal,
kill, and destroy
that what God said. And a lot of times he's successful, especially when you come through the confines of religion. Now, when I was raised in Pentecostal, and like I said, I'm not.
Now you were steeped in it.
Yeah, Doc. Yeah.
Give a shout out.
Yeah.
You was the last of the Mohicans.
Yes. Big shout out to Bishop Isaac Williams, who is the pastor of Zion Upper Room Apostolic Faith Church in Gallatin, Tennessee, which is where I was raised. And that's where it started. And although we see differently, I can never discount where I came from, where I learned how to deal with spiritual things.
Right.
Where I learned how to understand what the Spirit was doing and what the Spirit was not. You know what I'm saying? And being able to experience that in real time, not just hearing it from people, but like actually seeing people rolling on the floor and people speaking in tongues. And although I still believe in those things,
right,
you have to realize that there comes a time, you know, that because the Bible says that to whom much is given,
much is
required. And so I do a lot of reading. And people have poured into me and poured into me and poured into me. And I understand that I've been given a lot. So a lot is required of me.
To whom much is given, much is required. Hearing your story and your testimony, which we might get to some of these questions, we might not. I like the way you're flowing right now. R&B and gospel, you do them both, and you did them both well. But you had the collision course where God said, Daniel, okay.
Yeah.
I need all of you.
Like, quit playing with me.
Did you feel a conviction in that season of your life that you were cheating, of course, being at Pentecostal? Did you feel what did you feel going through that season?
I knew that it wasn't
for
like
you.
The way I was raised, as far as like, especially like the R&B side.
Okay.
Of things, that wasn't the way I was raised.
The lifestyle that came with it.
Yeah.
Right. Music is music.
I feel like that.
Or is music not music?
No, I mean music is music.
Yes.
At the end of the day, but I think that, like I said, there is something that God created you for when He created you. So God is not the type of manufacturer that would go and just make something and just it not have no purpose whatsoever. And I think that we should surge that journey. And stay before God that He is revealing, that prayer becomes like that boardroom where God reveals and talks to you about your destiny and about your future. And so a lot of times we try to do godly things without God, and that's not the proper thing to do. So we have to stay before Him. And so after He told me that He was in need of me, I went into ignore mode. Like, no.
You know, that's the first level of listening. There's a 5 levels of listening, and the first level is ignoring.
Yeah.
Then pretending. So you went into the ignore.
I learned that on the back end.
I
learned that on the back end.
You like Balaam, huh?
Exactly.
And Jonah.
Exactly.
But you were much younger, and not as wise as you are now.
Right.
We're both gaining in wisdom, knowledge, and understanding.
Daily.
Every day. Paul said, I see through a glass darkly. That's what Paul says. you say you were doing both at the same time, then God calls you to all the time music that will glorify Him.
Absolutely.
Now, I asked you a question in the other room. I'm going to ask it now. You know, we are blending the culture and church. And you and I both know, and I'm Baptist like you're Pentecostal.
Mm-hmm.
There's no way possible in our younger years we would have been swag surfing in the church. No way possible. Let's be honest. Bishop Murphy, this is no attack to you. Promise you, my friend. Promise you. Where are you? Oh, well, let me say this. And Juanita Bynum, Prophetess Bynum, went plumb off.
Yeah,
not so much on that, but she went off on how we have blended some things with the culture.
Yeah.
Where are you on the cultural blend now? What is your understanding about hip hop and holiness?
Well, I think hip hop is hip hop. Holiness should always be holiness.
Yeah, here you come. We're going to Pentecostal out of it, y'all.
Yeah, holiness should always be holiness.
Here it comes.
Because my father and my mother, we had like a very good relationship with them.
Of course.
But we never treated them like they were our friends.
Okay.
Because they always presented themselves as parents.
Right.
I don't care even if we was having fun, like it was a certain level of fun that you could have with them. But we would never forget that they were parents.
Right.
And I think in holiness it should be the same thing. Okay. They should never forget that you're holiness.
Okay.
But I never really speak to a lot of stuff that happen on social media because social media is designed to distract you or to paint a picture may not necessarily be true. So while you see them dancing in the church or doing whatever they're doing to whatever music they're doing it to one day, you don't know the teaching that they're getting, which is like the long of it. And we can't get that in 15-second segments.
Nah, we can't.
In short films, we can't do that, and we can't judge upon that either. Nobody starts a court case and say, "Okay, give me 15 seconds of what you got, but you got to prove it in the 15 seconds."
Right.
No, I want to hear the whole conclusion of the whole matter.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
But then on the flip side,
Reverend,
I have work that I have to do, right? And I have something that God is doing in my life, and you have something that you have to do because God is doing something in your life. How much time are you really going to give to trying to figure out whether this man was in right standing or not? Right. My approach would be just to really just pray for him and say, hey, that whatever God sent him to do, I pray that he's doing that. But as far as like to go on social media and, you know, get into the chats and all that stuff, that's not me because I feel like the world globally needs to see the church get along if they see us do anything. And right now they're seeing us at war, and it's done more damage than it has good, regardless of whether you have a good point or not. It really doesn't matter. You still a pastor over here, fighting a pastor over here, and telling this pastor that he's wrong, but then the world, they don't know the difference.
Boy, this is Norman Hutchins.
So that's become like my main thing. Stay out of it.
Just stay out of
it. Now, when it comes to the kingdom work, like I said, I pray for him. God, whatever you sent him to do, make sure if he's doing that, give him more power, more strength to do that. Lead him and guide him like you've always done. Like, my opinion of him is not going to make any heads or tails of what he's doing because when he started, I was nowhere around.
Nowhere.
Although I knew him. Like, right. I was nowhere around that.
Mm-hmm.
You know, actually, when he started, I didn't even know he was starting a church.
Gotcha.
You know what I'm saying? So, and when you see all the lives that he's impacted through the Dream Center, like, you just got to realize, like, you know, I'd rather uplift him or encourage him than tear him down, especially being from this side of the tracks. You know. So I think that's just something important for us to keep in mind, that God is doing something in us all. We should be tending to that. And other people's work is just other people's work. When Paul, he's sitting here, he's writing these letters to all these churches, and God is having him say different things to different cultures, to different habits, to different, you know what I'm saying, depending on where the church was. And here we have a pastor that's, you know, in Atlanta, dealing with a lot of youth. He understands the culture. He understands how to speak to them. And God has given him a voice, and he's also given the people that is tied to his voice. And however he has to do that, it might not be pleasing to me. because I might have a little more apostolic in me than, or Pentecostal in me than, you know what I'm saying, the next man. At the same time, that's his work. And as long as he's doing his work that God sent him to do, you know what I'm saying, I don't think it matters whether you're pleased with him or not, you know.
And that's not my call.
Yeah.
Hip hop and holiness, man, that was a great answer. Speaking of that, let me pay a bill or two, and then we'll come back to some. Where are you now, presently? What's going on in your city, state, and how can we connect? But this show is brought to you by Trifold Outreach. That's Trifold Outreach, 49 Dry Creek Road, Goodlettsville, Tennessee. That meets on the second and fourth Sunday. This show is brought to you by the Ephesian Primitive Baptist Church, 1506 22nd Avenue, North Nashville, Tennessee, 37208. You can follow us on all our social media platforms. And then you can, in person, meet us at 12 noon and 6 o'clock on Wednesday for Bible studies, 8:30, 9:45, and 11 o'clock on Sunday morning, and other places where we serve throughout the week. This show is brought to you by Forever Zion. That's Forever Zion, www.Forever Zion, paparazzi jewelry for your boo, your bae, your significant, your subordinate, your cousin, your frenemy, your enemy. Go to www.foreverzion.com. This show is brought to you by the World Class Training Institute, World Class Training Institute, for all your training needs. This show is brought to you by Divine Drips. Divine Drips RN. She's an RN, Torsha Hudson, with all your mobile IV needs. And then last but not least, this show is brought to you by The Village, and who else?
And Revive City Church of Bowling Green, Kentucky. Let's go.
Okay, grab it. Okay. Bowling Green, Kentucky. Let's talk about it.
Let's talk about
Revive City.
Let's talk about Revive City.
What about Revive City, man? Talk to us.
So, first of all, you know me. I'm usually lingering on the music side of everything.
Of course.
When it comes to people, I'm more into the coaching side. So, I've coached a lot. And when it comes to ministry, I'm more on the community side, where we're feeding and we're housing and things of that nature. Well, I never thought about pastoring.
Why not, Reverend?
My daddy told me before he passed away, he was like, when it's all said and done, you're going to end up pastoring because that's what you've always done.
That's what he said.
And so I didn't get what he was saying. Like, I was like, I mean, okay, whatever. But when you look at pastoring, I think a lot of times when people say pastoring, they're thinking preaching.
Okay.
And although I may be horrible at preaching, nah.
Why you think that?
It's just something I haven't done a lot of. I'll just put it that way. Okay. I'm more of a teacher.
Okay.
But yeah, taking care of the people is really just my thing. And I know you asked me earlier, like, why Bowling Green?
Yeah, why Bowling Green?
Why Bowling Green? Well, Bowling Green is my Nineveh.
Ooh, that's good.
Yeah,
right,
Bowling Green is my Nineveh, and that's what makes it right because I was sitting there.
That's good. Bowling Green is your Nineveh.
Yeah, I had all the excuses why I didn't want to go to Bowling Green, why I didn't want to be in Bowling Green. I had offers to go to Atlanta. I had offers to actually go to California as well, and they were going to be paying me a pretty good grip just to do praise and worship.
All right.
And BAMD, and I was like,
okay.
God was like, no. I want you to pastor. And so I just was in prayer, and I was asking God, like, what do you want me to do?
Yeah.
And he said, I want you to help to revive the city. You're going to be one of the pivotal points that helps to revive the city. So that's where we came up with Revive City Church. And we also have a fellowship that's being formed right now as we speak called the Kingdom Alive Fellowship. And it's just 4 churches that sits in the 4 corners of that city. And we just do the good of the land just to change the energy of the land, change the attitude of the land. And we support one another. That's what we do. So,
speaking of this new fellowship and your new assignment and you being revived in your assignment like Jonah, what are some of the challenges you think you're facing right now?
The old ways of thinking.
Religion.
Yeah. But even with the unchurched, sometimes we run into people and they have to be like, oh, well, y'all not going to do this because they have always not done that. They don't do that here. They just do this. And so we have to actually really just bring in a new way of seeing things. And I was like, God, what am I going to do? Like, this is horrible. And he was like, no. I sent you here to do this.
For this cause came I.
The worst that you think it is, it would be worse for somebody else that was in your spot. Because I sent you to do this. So there's a duality there that sometimes you don't even see in yourself, but when God has sent you to do something. Like, and you know, even with speaking, singing, you know, coaching is probably about the most comfortable thing I do because it's one-on-one.
Okay.
But like, when it comes to like those type of things, I was always, fear was one of those things that just like, no, I'm not doing it. If you notice and you look at my social media or anything, you'll see I'm not, you know, I'm not
out front.
Yeah, you don't see a lot
extroverted.
I'm not going live all the time and different stuff like that, which that's something I'm just gonna have to start doing. But the Spirit of the Lord spoke to me one day and he said, go with your fear. Like pack your fear up. Pack your fear up like a lunchbox and take it with you.
Just go with your fear.
Go with your fear.
That's good.
Because what'll happen is you'll begin to walk in that and you'll understand that the stuff that you feared was really nothing to fear at all. You see what I'm saying?
That's a good word, man.
Yeah.
That's a real good word.
So that's what I had to learn as I went along the way, is that God is waiting for us to make a move because he's finished something inside of us and it's our job to find out what that is and then get started. So it's major.
It's major.
It's major.
And everything's shifting.
Absolutely.
Everything is shifting for a reason in your life. Where do you see God? For what Red Sea are you facing right now? And on the other side of the Red Sea, what do you think is your next?
When I first accepted the calling to be a pastor, I went and I talked to my pastor.
Okay.
When I went and talked to my pastor, I had a whole, everything that I was going to do in the time that I was going to do it. And then I had an end goal, which means that most pastors, when they get into pastoring, they do that to their whole life until they die.
Right.
Not me.
Not you.
I think this is just for an appointed time. And I think that God is going to raise up greater people to do greater things behind the work that I do. And I just want to do my part. So it's just one of those things. Like God, he orchestrates your life like that, you know. So my end goal is the Challenge House, which is a community, a life community center. And we pretty much deal with and we foster families, basically. We deal with youth and their problems, and then we deal with a level of youth problems and situations that are stemmed from their parents' problems, and we tackle those as well. So then we get a good, healthy family that's not only good for their home, but good for the community too. And so we're just trying to change, you know, the narrative of what, you know, church is, and what churches are starting to understand that they have to give these certain things in order for the kingdom of God to be manifest. That's one of the things. We start with the family.
That's it.
Yeah.
Starting with the family. Listen, y'all, we are out of talk. Psych. We're never out of talk, but we are out of time. We need you to connect with you. How do we connect with you, Daniel?
Hit me up on Facebook, Daniel Townsend. All this stuff is about to change. I don't even know why I'm doing this.
But don't do it then.
Next time I'm on, I'll leave
You'll
some
probably leave all of those
but
things.
if you need to connect with me, Facebook, I'm Daniel Townsend. On Instagram, I'm VoiceBoxer2.
Instagram,
VoiceBoxer2. Yeah, absolutely. DM me, whatever, and connect. I would love to connect with you in whatever capacity you serve the kingdom of God. That's it.
That's it, y'all. Hey, it's been Yak, the Yolanda, and Cornelius show, and we're learning so much about minister, reverend, doctor, bishop, episcopos, presbyterius, concelebrant, All of that stuff. Daniel Townsend himself. Hey, y'all, stay tuned. We're coming on with the Christian Business Connection with your host, Ronald Jasmine. And follow us on all social media platforms for podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Pandora app, Google Podcasts, Podcast Addict, Castbox, Deezer, and Yahweh Saving. Until next week, it's the Yak Y'all, the Yolanda and Cornelius Show.
Thank you guys for hanging out with me. I'm out of here.